Okay, let's talk about cleaning up the navigation. The navigation is the toc.xhtml file. That's what I mean by navigation. And there's always quite a bit to do in this file. When you check the navigation, you want to check to make sure it's as full as you want and that the lists and sublists have nested properly. There's an excellent chance that nesting went sideways. There's also a good chance that the page numbers need to be edited out of the titles that got pulled through from the page staker. So let's have a quick look at what that looks like. So here's the title page, here's the chapter 1, here's chapter 2, and you can see that there's these numbers in front of them. Those are from page staker. So I'm just going to remove those. 19, there we go. And then here is a subheading, and this should be nested. When you're in TOC styles, you can pull through H1, H2, H3. You can go as deep as you need to, and you can set the levels properly. But as I mentioned in that TOC styles video, it doesn't always work out properly. It often comes through flat without the sub-items nested properly. So here's the way to do that. I'm going to get rid of the closed list item tag on chapter 1 and then open another ordered list, and then the only item in that ordered list is going to be the line with the subheading, and then I'll close that ordered list and then close that list item. And so let's have a look at what that looks like. Open my EPUB, and now that subheading is nested. So you can see that there's a roll down and that it works as expected. So that's how you nest things correctly. The other thing I would suggest needs to be done here is that the titles need to be not in screamy all caps. And perhaps you put a separator between the chapter number and the title. That's a question of personal preference, obviously, but just some thoughts about what you might want to do there. Okay, so other things that need to be cleaned out are this. We need to add a language tag to this top level HTML, and in order to do that, I'm just going to go over to some other HTML and copy and paste it. So every piece of HTML in your ebook needs to have a language declaration. And in general, InDesign will not put a language declaration on either the cover or the toc.xhtml, so you'll need to add that in. I would also, if we go back over here to poetry, you'll see that there's a line 6 with the CSS declared. You're going to want to add that to the TOC as well, and in addition to the cover. Though the CSS is used in both of those files as well. So just FYI, you need to add those things. And then other things. The title element is incorrect. It's the title of the content, and it feels like that should be what it is, but that's not actually what's in this file. It's not the novel Peter Pan, it's the navigation. So adjust that title element so that it's more meaningful. Some people call it EPUB navigation, some people call it navigation, some people call it contents, and all of those are correct. So you just choose the one that's most correct for you. Other things, I would suggest that these OLs should have a class of none. And that's because we don't actually want them ordered. We don't want numbers on them. And I'm going to type this correctly instead of inserting typos. And now that I see that that's correct, I'm just going to copy and paste it for down here. Sometimes the toc.xhtml shows up at the very back of the book, so it does become part of the linear part of the EPUB. It doesn't have to, sometimes it does, and in which case you don't actually want numbers on these items. You want it to be a class of none. And so when you have a class of none, you will have to add a piece to the CSS. And this is in your cheat sheet, don't worry, but you will say OL none, open curly bracket, list, style. I'm going to type that correctly. Style, type, none. And so that means that that will come out with no bullets, no numbers, nothing of the sort. Other things that need to be fixed here. We haven't gotten into semantics deeply yet, but this is a line that needs some extra semantics. So here's the EPUB type semantics. EPUB type equals TOC. Awesome. And there's the ID equals TOC. That's also fine. But we also need to add the ARIA role. So the role in this case is doc TOC. And that needs to be added every single time, or you will get an Ace by Daisy error. There is no corresponding dpub aria role for landmarks, so you can leave that one as is. So just to go over what we did there, we changed the title element, we added a language tag, we added the CSS, we added an aria role, we cleaned up what was happening here, we made sure the nests, the sublists were nested properly, and we added class equals none to those. The next thing we need to do is to add the page list, which goes in this document as well, and that will be in our next video.